Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, David here, and welcome back to another video. This one's going to be a little bit different than what I usually do, and I've decided to make a video about this topic because I am right now replaying a classic. I am indeed playing Skies of Arcadia Legends on my GameCube, like original system, on disc, you know, the whole thing. And I'm having a blast with it. And this publisher right here, SEGA, has been doing very well lately. They've been doing great. They have a bunch of IPs that are selling well. We keep seeing with their fiscal reports that they're doing great with some of their classic IPs that have always been doing well, like Sonic the Hedgehog, but with other titles as well, like the Like a Dragon franchise, which is really blooming nowadays. But I was playing Skies of Arcadia Legends and I was like, oh my god, this is so good. I'm glad I'm replaying this title. What happened with SEGA and their RPGs though? They used to be so good with role-playing games, and nowadays when you say SEGA and RPGs, most people are simply going to bring up ATLUS, which of course ATLUS is owned by SEGA nowadays, and ATLUS, they're nailing it. Don't get me wrong, everything that they do, I run this channel which is 80% ATLUS focused, you know, and they're awesome. Shin Megami Tensei, Persona, Etrian Odyssey, Metaphor ReFantazio, they have been doing great, constantly breaking sales records, tons of games over 90s on Metacritic. ATLUS is a legendary developer under SEGA. But it feels to me like ever since ATLUS was acquired by SEGA, SEGA stopped pushing RPGs, or at least they don't push RPGs as much as they used to. When you look at modern SEGA, name RPGs developed in-house by SEGA to me. I can name a few. Sakura Wars got a reboot in 2019. In-house, developed by SEGA. We'll talk about that in just a bit. Like a Dragon is an RPG franchise nowadays. I am a huge Yakuza fan, and Yakuza / Like a Dragon is now a turn-based RPG. They are fully embracing turn-based. It is really an RPG with character development, classes, you raise your levels, you have different equipments that you can buy, you can modify some of your weapons, job system. It is very much an RPG, both for Yakuza Like a Dragon, aka Yakuza 7, or Infinite Wealth, the latest entry in the franchise. And they still do have action-based games here and there with Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. They have the Judgment franchise, which I'm praying that it's still alive because those games are fire. Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name. RGG Studio, fire. We're not too sure what they're going to do here with Stranger Than Heaven. Is that going to be an RPG or not? But one thing's for sure, mainline, Like a Dragon, very much an RPG. Valkyria Chronicles 4, modern-ish. That is a 2018 game. But those are like the three things that I can think about that are modern-ish RPGs by SEGA. If you don't consider Sakura Wars because it's one release out of a ton of other SEGA games and it's 6 years old, you cannot consider Valkyria Chronicles 4 either because that is one new title in a long-running franchise and it's been dead ever since. What's going on? If you look at old SEGA, I can go hard if you want. There's Phantasy Star, which used to get a bunch of single-player games, single-player RPGs. Nowadays, it's an MMO, it's an online game. Sakura Wars, I mentioned it in the modern titles. Sakura Wars used to have a bunch of games, mainline titles, spin-offs, puzzle games, ports to other platforms, Game Boy, Sega Saturn, Sega CD. What is going on? It's nowhere to be found nowadays. Skies of Arcadia, I said it before, I'm playing it right now. Absolutely legendary game, over 90 on Metacritic for both versions of the game. It's nowhere to be found. Shining Force, classic titles in that franchise for sure. The Panzer Dragoon Saga game, new genre for an established SEGA franchise. Nowhere to be found. Valkyria Chronicles as well. SEGA used to do a bunch of amazing RPGs like this one. No, I'm just kidding. But they used to do a lot of RPGs. Even a freaking Sonic DS turn-based RPG. That's crazy. They used to do a lot of crap like this. They don't do RPGs anymore, and that saddens me. I think there is definitely a future for SEGA to focus on RPGs outside of ATLUS. I think ATLUS is doing their thing, and that has been proven to be a great solution for SEGA. They're doing great, and they are growing as a company. But I think there's room for SEGA to prevail with their own RPGs. I want to talk about Sega's new initiative to revive older IPs. Sega announced at the Game Awards a few years ago already, 2 or 3 years ago, that they are reviving some of their older IPs. Shinobi, Golden Axe, Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio. Sick, isn't it? If you grew up with like the Genesis era, the Dreamcast and everything, absolutely amazing. That was great news, and I am to this day very excited to see what they do with Jet Set Radio and Crazy Taxi. But you're gonna notice one thing. There's no RPGs on that list. There is no RPG. I hope Sega didn't give up on RPGs, because other than Like a Dragon, they don't have anything nowadays. And that initiative, apparently, they're not looking at RPGs. Sega did say when they revealed that they're bringing back these IPs that they're going to do more. So, are we going to see some of the IPs that I mentioned before, still owned by Sega, back, being revived with that initiative? Maybe. Let's start with Sakura Tyson or Sakura Wars. Again, there was a reboot in 2019 which got localized in 2020 for the West, PlayStation 4 title, PlayStation 4 exclusive to this day. 5 years later, there's no Switch or Switch 2 version, there's no Xbox version, and there is no PC version either. That title sold decently. It sold fine. First week of sales was decent. Critically, it was alright. Like, I would consider myself a Sakura Wars fan, and I played it. I thought it was really solid in terms of like world building, character building, fan service as well. The combat side of things was kind of the social elements, the relationship stuff was kind of a little bit too forced in at times. Otherwise, in general, I would say a very solid game that you guys should go back to if you're interested. I think it's solid regardless of its flaws, but Sega has not done anything else with the IP ever since, so it's been 6/5 years if you're in the West. There's something happened though last year. In January of 2024, a media outlet called Insider Gaming shared their opinion on Sega and their IPs that are set to be revived, and I reported on that obviously on the channel as soon as the news came up. I wanted to share it with y'all, so it's going to be linked in the video description if you're interested in checking that out. But in January of 2024, Insider Gaming came out and said that they know something Sakura Wars is being developed in-house at Sega. No other details and nothing since. It's been over a year at this point, a year and a half since this news came out. Nothing. I was praying that it was a remake of the first game, or maybe a port of the first few games that are on Saturn. I think that would have been great. Officially localize the games that weren't localized before. I think that would be awesome. There is, of course, So Long My Love on the Wii, which I do have right here as well. That is one of the games that was localized, and looking at it, NIS America is the logo that you're seeing here. So even if Sega is the owner of the Sakura Wars IP, when they dropped So Long My Love in 2006? Yeah, 2006, when they dropped that on PS2, and we didn't even bother localizing it for us, the Western audience. They gave it to NIS, which again, it's been 20 years at this point since this particular release, so it doesn't mean much for current day, but I hope they still see value in the IP because it used to be big, and Sakura Wars was one of the biggest budget that they gave a game back in the Saturn days, so I hope they do something with it. My baby has to be Skies of Arcadia. Skies of Arcadia is interesting. It's always interesting. To me, it is the Sega game that would benefit the most from a re-release. I think there is a lot of potential there. They could work with the mapping system, add little icons on the map, make it HD, obviously, give it good and solid and lengthy voice acting for the title. I think that would be great as well. Other than that, it is a fantastic game. Gameplay-wise, it aged really well. It looks solid as well. If you are an ATLUS fan, I think one thing that they should do with Skies of Arcadia is remaster it in the same format that they remastered Raido 1, which just got released. We just saw a remaster of that title a few weeks ago, and it's great. I think the effort that they put into that type of port, they should put into Skies of Arcadia as well. We've seen Sega partner with brands like Fist for Figure. They are doing a Vice figure at the moment. They just announced that as of the time of recording this video, a brand new statue with that company, so it's cool. In January of this year, in January 16th specifically, Sega renewed the trademark for Skies of Arcadia in Japan. I did report on that as well, and I'm so hungry for anything Skies of Arcadia that I gathered all information that we have about a potential re-release for Skies of Arcadia in one video. So once again, if you want to check that out, I'm going to link it. But Skies of Arcadia, it's a big mess. I keep praying and hoping and predicting it at every single event, but at this point, I don't know when we should expect more for that IP. It's just really solid, so I hope they do something with it in the near future for sure. Now, another IP by Sega that I like a lot is Valkyria Chronicles. Valkyria Chronicles saw a remaster. The first game saw a remaster in recent years on Switch, PlayStation 4 as well. I do think it's on PC. Yeah, I think it's on PC as well. Great game. The first one, a classic. All games over 80 on Metacritic. They're doing great. The last game released in 2018 though with Valkyria Chronicles 4. Sega announced that it sold over 1 million copies worldwide, so that is, I think, decent for a game of that caliber by Sega. Most ATLUS RPGs don't go over 1 million if it's not Persona, so I would say that those are pretty solid numbers. And there's even Phantasy Star that we could talk about. Phantasy Star, the last single-player game that we got is Nova, which was a PS Vita game and a Japanese exclusive. So at this point, looking at, let's say, these 4 IPs, which I think are the most likely-ish to come back, and that would work for Sega as RPG franchises outside of ATLUS IPs, Phantasy Star, I think it's so unlikely for us to see something single player related in modern age, but I would like to see that. Valkyria Chronicles, I'm still holding on hope. I'm like, we got a game 7 years ago. We got a remastered after that of the first game, which did decently. I am hoping that we see something more. I'm hoping that they give it a chance. I think a reboot for that one would be good, especially since Valkyria Chronicles 2 is a PSP game. The third game was never localized. I think a reboot would do it justice for sure. I think it would work. The 2 IPs that need to come back the most, in my opinion, are Skies of Arcadia and Sakura Wars. Skies of Arcadia simply because that GameCube game that I showed y'all at the beginning of the video, that one, you don't have to do much with it for it to work and to have success and to see success on modern platforms. The characters are charming. The world building is amazing. Some of the gameplay elements that they have here with the pirate ship battles in the sky and everything, sky exploration, there's nothing else like it. Skies of Arcadia is unique. It is a classic, and they should absolutely bring it back, in my opinion. They should start with some sort of remaster, work with ATLUS to do something like they did with Raido, and that would be great. Sakura Wars is a little bit confusing. I think there's still a lot of weight behind the IPs. There's the animes, there's all that stuff. It did well in the past. It's a million selling franchise. It sold, I think, over 4 million copies, all titles combined. So I think there's definitely potential here with Sakura Wars. And once again, I think they could benefit from ATLUS's help to bring back the title in some way, shape, or form. Work with P Studio for the relationship and social elements of that game, and then work with the team who worked on Valkyria Chronicles for the gameplay side of things, the strategy gameplay. There's room for strategy games to succeed nowadays in modern age. Square Enix is bringing back FF Tactics. Intelligent System and Nintendo, they're doing great with Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem's been doing well lately. So honestly, Sega, do something with those IPs. I think you guys should definitely do something. You have some powerful, weighty IPs behind your belt, and people are hoping for these titles to come back, myself included. I am going to talk about those games if you bring them back on the channel. For sure, they're dead, and I'm talking about them. I'm hoping for them to do something, you know? So those are the elements that I wanted to talk about today. I mean, I don't know how likely it would be for ATLUS to help some of the team at Sega to bring back some of those games, but I think they would benefit from it, and I think that Sega could do well without ATLUS in terms of RPGs. I think ATLUS is great on its own. They're doing their thing, and they're prevailing. Awesome. Sega, there's room for Sega too. That's what I meant to say. There is room for Sega to succeed even if they own ATLUS. They should not give up on RPGs at Sega, because we see other companies having great success with RPGs. Look at Expedition 33. Very solid game by a brand new studio. Game of the Year contender, apparently. I've yet to play it, but that's what people are saying. And I've heard a lot of people, whose opinion I trust, say that it's a Game of the Year contender. So there's proof that there's room for hardcore turn-based RPGs in modern age, or even other style of RPGs. So I'm just hoping that they do something with those IPs for sure. Which IP out of this bunch would you like to see the most? For me, I'm gonna go with Skies of Arcadia. I think it would benefit the most from a revival of some sort, but definitely Sakura Wars as well would be cool. Valkyria Chronicles, Phantasy Star, they would all be great. Don't get me wrong. Hey, thanks for watching, y'all. I really appreciate it. You have a great day. Bye.